Alright, greetings friends. I don't normally make videos like this, but I'm going to make this one anyway. I'm going to do it because it's Memorial Day. And I don't talk about it much on this channel, but I am a veteran. And so on Memorial Day, I think about some people. On this particular Memorial Day, I'm thinking about one person specifically quite a bit. And there is something that I want to put out there. And so I'm going to do it because I think it could be useful to somebody out there. And I also want to say I have told this story once before on this channel. It's probably about a year and a half ago or so. But I frequently take it down. I think it's still taken down. It should still be taken down. Because it got kind of intense and it got kind of emotional, and I don't really like putting myself out there like that. I don't feel comfortable with that. And so I took it down. And because I did not start this channel as to like try to make myself into like a celebrity, like, oh, look at me, look at my story, blah, blah, blah. That's not what it's about. As I've said in the past, I think of me being on this camera as a sacrifice to achieve the goals that I do want to achieve, which is to learn as much as I can about the world of spirituality and to talk to the kind of people that I want to talk to. And they're not just going to talk to me. Why should they, right? There's all these kinds of people that want to talk to them. But if I build this platform that I can promote their works a little bit, then it gives them a reason to talk to, right? And it gives them an incentive. And so that's really the main reason. That's like the reason why I run this channel. I'm not trying to make myself into a like celebrity guy or YouTube celebrity guy or whatever. But this is a lesson that I want to share. And I'm going to try to make it quick. I'm not going to go into this story with the kind of detail that I went into last time for various reasons. But, so, all right, man, whatever. The gist of it is this. I'm on a mission, city of Mosul, Iraq. We get ambushed. Buddy of mine dies. Now, obviously, there's a lot more detail to it. There's a lot more leading up to it. There's a lot more that happened within it. And then there's a lot more that happened in the immediate aftermath. But we'll keep it that simple. Buddy of mine dead. And I had a very weird experience because for the next couple of days, I think it was about 2 days, it might have been up to 3 days. I have this all written in a journal, but the purpose of this isn't for me to go deep diving into details. So just suffice to say, like 2-3 days. Over the course of the time, I started going through the life review that you read, and like you read about so much with near-death experiences that it's like almost like a cliche. But I didn't really realize this at the time. I came to understand this. It was actually after we got back into the United States. I went on a camping trip and I read a bunch of books, but one in particular by P.H. Atwater, who's along with Raymond Moody, like one of the more prominent near-death experience researchers out there. Her book's fantastic, and I just read that and was like, whoa, that's weird, because what I was experiencing was sort of like a near-death experience. And the reason why I say that's weird is because if you look at like Raymond Moody's, like probably the biggest NDE experience or near-death experience or NDE researcher, and Atwater's up there too. And I prefer Atwater's writing personally. I don't know why, I just do. But definitely nothing wrong with Raymond Moody. But yeah, okay. I'm sorry I'm a little bit scared. I literally just jumped down and said, I'm doing this. I'm doing it. And so the reason why I say it's weird is I was not physically harmed in any way. In a near-death experience, if you read like when Moody and Atwater and the big researchers go into the subject, a true near-death experience is supposed to be when you clinically die for a period of time and then come back, right? And so when they're researching near-death experiences, it's not like, you step into the street and a car almost hits you and you're so scared that you have a thought process. Like a true near-death experience in the way that the researchers look at it is that you actually clinically die and then you come back. I was not physically harmed. I was fine. And so we go back and it didn't start immediately. It started that next sleep cycle. The reason why I say sleep cycle is because we are running all nighttime operations, and so we are sleeping during the day. And it's actually hard to keep things in your mind because you tape up all your windows and your hooch and everything. And like I stayed in this hooch with 2 other guys, you tape everything up so tight that when you're in there, even though it's, super bright sun and extremely hot out, it feels like nighttime in there. So it's weird when you try to remember back on things. But I know we were on a nighttime cycle. So, yeah, so when I say the next sleep cycle, it should have been like, that early morning, because we'd go to sleep like real early morning and sleep through the day. And then afternoon, get up and start getting ready to go run missions. And so and so while I'm laying there, I just started thinking about it. It wasn't thinking. All right. I do not want to be like all emotional like I was last time, but at the same time, I have to deliver this correctly or the profundity of it will be lost. It felt as though a being, supernatural, spiritual, otherworldly being, God, was showing me my life. Like there was a distinct feeling of another presence with me, showing me these things. It's like somebody took me in a room, put me down, put on a projector, and just started showing me. Like I could feel this presence. And I'm running through all these things in my life. And it was intense, man. It was intense because I was feeling. It wasn't just seeing these things. I was feeling them again. I was feeling like every wrong thing, every person that I hurt, I could feel it. And it was wild. And it's so odd. So we lived in this compound, and like there were different sections of the compound, and I was leaving the one section of the compound. I was coming out, and then you go through the motor pool, and then I was going into the area where we slept. And I remember coming out, and all this stuff was running through my head, and I was walking, and I distinctly remember thinking, this is what reality feels like. And I know that's so weird because I was just walking through the same compound that I've walked through thousands of times before. Same stretch of compound. But it was what was going on. It was like my consciousness was different. I still think of it back to this day as the one time in my life where I experienced true, pristine reality. I know that's weird and you can't explain it. These things transcend like rational description. All I can say is that was my thought. And so this happened for a couple of days. And the really weird thing is, like, I could be in the hooch in the dark. These things running through my mind. But then we get spun up on a mission, and I'd be able to do my job and focus and go do the mission, and this thing would not be in my head. It would be gone. But then the second we got back from the mission, I'd be running through it again. And it wasn't only when I was sitting in the hooch. Like I said, that when I had that experience thinking this is reality, it was while I was walking through the compound. And that was actually in sunlight. And so, I mean, it was just happening all the time unless I needed to focus through it in order to do my job. And so, man, it's running through all of my life. And there were a lot of things I wanted. I did things that I wish I had done very differently now. Made a lot of mistakes, hurt people, did bad things. And I felt that, like while I was going through it, I felt it. And up to that point in my life, I had lived with quite a bit of guilt and shame for the mistakes that I had made. And so going through this life review, which is what it was, as confounding as that is, and like I said, I say confounding because I wasn't physically harmed, and this was not an immediate fear response. It was extended over a couple of days. That's also why I believe I was being spoken to by whatever the thing is out there that we call God. Okay? And that moment changed my life forever. At the end of this, look, it's weird to say these things, and I try to like couch them, but you know what, dude? I feel that God or some manifestation of God was speaking to me, and I'm running through my life, and all of those things that I felt bad about. But at the end, I felt this. This is the part where I started to get emotional last time I told this. I felt this presence, man, this love, and this absolute forgiveness is the most potent and beautiful thing I've ever experienced in my life. It's so beautiful that even using the word beautiful seems cheap. You can't put a word on it. There's no human word to properly encapsulate what that feels like. And it was this incredibly loving force that said, dude, you did your best and you're a good person. You've made mistakes. But ultimately, you have done your best and your heart's been in the right place even when you made mistakes. And essentially, the good outweighed the bad, right? But, this is the shocking thing, and this is what I'm saying. I'm sorry, this is running on 11 minutes. I'm sorry, people. I'm going to try to speed this up, because this is the lesson I wanted to get to. The same force said, but what is not cool is that you know you were put here to write, and you stopped writing. And I had stopped writing because I had gotten some rejections, and even the stuff that I published, it wasn't going anywhere. And I just got to the point where I was like, this is just a stupid use of time. I need to just let this stupid childhood dream go. And, but that voice said, that's why you're here. You know it, man. And if you die without going back and getting on that road, you will die knowing that you were a coward who hid from your responsibilities on this earth. Now, that's a weird place to be, because I immediately, once I got that, I started right that day. There has not been a day since that day, which was, I don't know. Jesus, when was that even? That was probably like 13 to 15 years ago. And I don't feel like really calculating the math. It was on my second to last deployment. But since that time, I have not missed a day with writing. I write every single day. Sometimes I write for public, but I changed my whole life is my point. I became a professional writer, a professional editor. It's what I do to this day, even though I'm branching out with other forms of income or whatever. And I said, all right, I will dedicate my life to this. And that seems crazy, right? There's no money in words. There's no money in writing. Editing's dying. It's going away. And but you know what? The amazing thing is, once I said, okay, all right, I'll do it. I will put my life. I will devote my life to this. All these good things started happening. Like even my jobs, and so I write all kinds of things, freelance and stuff. I write fiction, all kinds of stuff. It's all out there. But my main bread comes from technical communication, technical writing. And obviously that's not, when you have a moment like that overseas and you have this force that tells you these things, you're not thinking it's telling you to go into technical communication, right? So like the first year after I got out of the military was actually pretty bad, because I just assumed it was like I have to become this best, like a Stephen King level selling novelist, right? I was just trying to fulfill what this thing had showed me, Well, that didn't happen, and after the first year, it was a pretty grim scenario, because I felt like I had let God down, and I had let myself down, and I felt like a failure. And I still feel like that sometimes, I guess. But you know what? The thing is, everything in my life got better. Like things weren't coming the way I thought they were going to. But my emotional, psychological well-being and my external circumstances in terms of my career, my money I was making, all of these things, it all went up. And good things happened, man. Obviously, it's not like my life's been gravy since then. Bad things have happened as well. But for the most part, putting my hands in this and trusting that that's actually why I'm here benefited me in every measurable way. Which is amazing if you think about it, right? It wouldn't be so amazing if it was like, you are here to go into information technology. That's kind of a no-brainer. Like, as long as you're smart enough to get the proper degrees, get the proper education. IT is a field where there's common sense, obvious money to be made. It's not like with writing. Writing's a weird hustle, or writing and editing. Working with words is a weird hustle, man. There's all these weird little ways to make money. It's odd. It's just it's not anywhere near a grand slam like information technology, right? Or real estate or something like that. And yet things have worked out for me. And so since then, I have invested a great deal of my life and my time trying to understand what exactly I'm supposed to be doing here. What happened to me that day? Although the one thing I will say is, since then, I've talked to all kinds of people about this. I've talked to shamans, priests, like Catholic priests, people of all kinds of mainstream and alternative spiritual persuasions, and asked, like, what do you think happened to me to that day? Usually you get the, well, I think you were just hallucinating from the trauma type thing, right? Which immediately gets, I've got no use for you. I don't need to talk to you. I'm fine with the difference of opinion with people, but that one, it's like, yeah. Because it remains the most powerful experience of my entire life, hands down. Nothing has ever touched what that felt like, and has changed my entire life since. I've never looked at the world the same again. It was incredible. And I don't know why. I don't know why that's what I'm supposed to do here. I'm clearly not supposed to be a world-breaking novelist, right? Well, who knows? I'm still writing. Every day I'm plugging away, man, plugging away. But it hasn't happened yet, so I think it's safe to say that's not it. So what is it? I don't know. Like, I am sorry, people. I'm sorry. Like I said, I jumped on here to do this because I felt emotionally compelled to do it. The mission is, the one thing that I feel completely solid about is that we do all here have a purpose. All of us. We're sent here for something. Now, I think where that can get confusing and maybe a little bit, it can cause damage in your life, is if you do like me, where you're like, well, that must mean if I figured out that what I'm here for is writing, then I guess I've got to like become the next Stephen King. I don't think it's like that. Like I think there are probably people out here who their destiny was to write poetry that nobody else ever read. Why? Who knows? Like, maybe in the process of doing that, maybe they had these other influences, impacts on other people around them. Who knows? Like, who knows? I don't know. Maybe somebody's purpose is to, be a custodian at a school. Why? Like, while the person is doing the job, it may be to them, until they've connected with this force, maybe to them it'll be like, well, this doesn't feel like super meaningful work. But so I don't know. When I say we're all given a mission, I don't think that means that we're all given these like grand, like we don't all need to become Elon Musk and Bob Dylan and all this kind of stuff. But I do. There's nothing that I am more confident in than that experience that I had, and therefore the lesson that I got from it, which is that I know why I'm here, and I don't think I'm special. I think we're all here for a reason. You all matter. Like, we all matter. And I unfortunately do not have a whole bunch of guidance for how you can find out what yours is, but I can remind you from my personal experience. And I say remind because I think we all know this. We all grow up knowing this, but just the process of life clouds it. But you're here for something, man. And I think it probably is. You're probably making it more complicated than it actually is. Like, I knew when I was a kid that I was a writer. That's what I'm here for. I didn't even think of it in terms as like an ambition. I just like, that is my function. That is what I do. And I knew that as a kid. I think it's probably true that most people do know that, and then you get hit with a few setbacks, you get hit with some disappointment, and you start to cloud it, and you start to lie to yourself. But I believe you're here for a reason. I am completely confident in that, and that is what I want to share. And part of me wants to go back and redo this with a proper script and everything, but if I do that, I think I just won't post this because I don't really like posting these kinds of videos. So I'm just going to publish this and hope that it finds you well, and hope that, I don't know, maybe it'll hit somebody at just the right time. We'll see, I guess. So that's about it. I'm sorry that I keep rambling, but I do hope that maybe this experience clicks with somebody, because that's why I'm putting it out there. So that's it. All right, peace out.